Okay, I'm gonna try and use my new computer. I've got a dual core now, so I'm gonna try and use it to whilst running my aquarium uh, rybka engine in core plus one core analysis mode. So this is a game I played just this morning against Night Farwer. The guy in India I was playing this morning. He said it's absolutely roasting there, and I said it's absolutely freezing, and in fact it snowed over here. So the game I just played, um, I pincer movement with uh, using the JRobi video this morning. So I'm gonna upload it after this, but I thought I'd put this up because he's, after I beat him with the white pieces in the pincer game, he blundered his queen. I He then said, "Oh, he said, do you want to resign and we'll play another game?" And I said, "Sure, I'll play the black pieces." So he opened with e4, and I played on with knight c5 Sicilian. Um, it gives white plus 2/2 here. So the game continues. Knight f3, knight c6, all fairly basic. Bishop c4, knight e6, castles, g6 for some sort of dragon type variation. Rook e1, bishop g7, d3, knight on g to e7, g5, castle, knight c3, e takes, or sorry, f5, and then e takes f5. Now I did consider here um, the e6 pawn takes f5, but that loses a piece because if I was to do that, for example, take, I can't take it. Sorry, because that's right, that was what it was. Because I'm pinned here with the bishop, so um, going straight through, I'm pinning my king here, so I can't take back with that. But what I can do is I can elevate my rook, which I go on ahead and do, and then he plays his knight across. I decide to hit both pieces there, e4 and c4. He brings his knight over to g3, and I do my first live blitz game exchange sack, which is rook takes, knight takes, bishop takes, and then bishop down. Now that means that he's down, lost both his bishops at the minute, and I have two bishops, and I've been able to do that for a rook, and um, Rybka is actually giving me 2 pawns advantage here, so it like that exchange sack. So I play on with also gives me the chance to win that pawn too, in which I saw also that variation was quite nice. It started off with the exchange sack then, which is after I hit both the knight and the bishop. He had to do something because I was supporting this pawn with that, so even if he took his bishop, I'd be able to take his bishop anyway. So I couldn't take his bishop either because obviously I've got the rook coming across here. So that was a strong move there to begin with, which pushed me into the exchange sack, which is after he moves his knight back to, because now he's hitting my rook. I figure that I can still take his rook or take his bishop. He'll probably want to recapture that back, and then after that I still have the move pawn takes bishop. Um, if he was to capture back with the pawn, then I would have, which is the line I imagined, queen takes, and then rook takes, and then I would still have eventually queen takes the b7 pawn, still winning that pawn. So that was a move orientation I saw when I moved into going through the sack. The move order changed very slightly with he didn't recapture the pawn and just move the rook down, but I still can capture the b7 b2 pawn. Sorry. So the game continues then with obviously he attacks that piece. I bring it back. He brings his queen up, starts forcing my knights up the board a little bit to attack his rook. And then as I attack his rook, it unleashes a discovery on the knight. So it was quite a sharp Sicilian game. there's nothing much he can do now. He's dropping another piece, so brings it back, and I capture that piece. Now I'm up a lot of material, and I'm playing pretty well here. There's still a lot to this game. There's D takes C4, and then attack the queen and fork the C4 pawn at the same time. So he defends both, and I push B6 to just try and solidify my pawn structure there a little bit. He plays rook takes E5, which I think is a blunder really. Although he gains a knight, does he really want to give up a knight for a rook? So I think that was probably a blunder. In fact, at the end, we were having a bit of a chat, and he said, "Oh, I shouldn't have lost my rook," and I think it was a blunder. So I bring my rook out of attack from the queen, and then he attacks my E5 bishop, which I defend by attacking the queen. He moves his queen, and I create a knight post on. Well, it's not really a knight post because he can always push C3. But what I do is that piece is defended by the C5 pawn, and I indirectly then with that move directly defend my bishop on E5 with my queen. He does go on ahead and pushes C3, which gives me a little bit of trouble. So I capture the bishop, capture the knight, which he must capture back. Weakens his pawn structure a little bit. Now I'm up material, you see, so I'm thinking that I can trade down a couple of my pieces, give back some material, and see if I can open up an attack on his king. So I bring it back. I'm not too worried about losing the E6 pawn. There's not much I can do to defend it really. He plays quite a strange move, which is queen to D7, which I'm not really 100% sure if that was the right move. And I just go ahead and sack another piece to try and open up his position a bit more, because I'm still, at the minute now, I still have an extra piece. So he captures the pawn, and then I move my king up. He checks again, and I move it into safety here. And he wins the rook. So that was a nice play there by Henry. I mean, that's perhaps what he saw. Is could he get into a position where he was going to fork my king and rook? So now, after this, it's 3 versus 3 versus 2 versus 2, and then the queen's on the board, and I've got a knight and a bishop versus the rook, which is pretty much the idea with the exchange stack. So things are going all right here at the minute. I've exchanged down my pieces, and he has this weakness here, and not too much he can do on this side of the board. And I have two mobile pieces versus a rook, which in this position I think favors me. So the game continues with bishop to f3, queen f4, queen exchange, and then open up and create myself this passed pawn here, which is the difference between my game and his game, is that I have two strengths on either side of the board, which is the way to win. So I begin to push that, which means his rook has a bit of trouble on this side of the board. I think what he really should have done is, I think he should have perhaps tried to liquidize my queenside pawn majority and tried to promote his own pawns, but I think he got tied up here trying to defend my my own attack with the h pawn. So, but that's how chess goes. You can see here I played a good couple of moves in order to get that h4 pawn up into a good promotable position. He then goes to attack and liquidize my queenside pawns, at which point he manages to promote a situation where my h pawn gets lost. But you can see here now that I control this half of the board. And now the thing is that at this point in the game I had about a minute left, where he has 19 minutes. So the next set of moves occur under extreme time and difficulties for me. But if I play, just move over to liquidate these pawns to create a passed pawn, I think I have about 15 seconds now versus 15 minutes, and then I just play very successfully here, and king c1, bring my king inside, keep pushing, check. He moves to b1. He should have took bishop, I think, really, but he didn't, and I went Checkmate. So that was just a game for Sicilian that I was going to put up, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.